Imagine a world before Egypt built its greatest pyramids, before Babylon soared, before Persia, Greece, or Rome even existed. Now imagine an empire so ambitious, so unprecedented, that it stitched the world's first multicultural superstate together, from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea. This is the story of the Akkadian Empire, the first empire in human history, created by a man born a nobody, raised in secrecy, and destined to become a legend. And just as quickly as it rose, it collapsed in one of history's greatest ancient mysteries. This is how humanity built its first empire, and how it was lost. Before the Akkadians, Mesopotamia was a patchwork of city-states: Uruk, Lagash, Kish, each ruled by its own king, each competing for water, farmland, and influence. These cities spoke different dialects, worshipped their own gods, and fought endless territorial wars. And yet, hidden inside this unstable landscape, something extraordinary was about to happen. The founder of the Akkadian Empire, Sargon, began not as a prince, but as an orphan. An ancient inscription claims he was born to a priestess, placed in a basket and set afloat on the Euphrates River, found by a gardener, raised as a commoner, and eventually appointed as cupbearer to the king of Kish. Sargon rose from nothing and then took everything. With charisma, military skill, and an unstoppable drive, he overthrew his king and seized power. But he wasn't done. He had a vision no one before him dared to imagine: a single ruler over all of Mesopotamia. Sargon launched campaign after campaign, each one more daring than the last. He conquered Uruk, humbled Lagash, and marched across Sumer. His new capital, Akkad, became the beating heart of a rising empire. For the first time in history, the region was ruled as one political unit, a true empire. Sargon's genius wasn't only military. He created a centralized government, placed trusted officials in key cities, and linked territories with a communication network backed by royal authority. He standardized weights, he standardized trade, he made Akkadian the language of diplomacy and administration. This wasn't just conquest, this was statecraft. Under Sargon and his successors, the Akkadian Empire flourished. Merchants traveled from Anatolia to Oman. Caravans moved metals, textiles, oils, and luxury goods. Cities expanded. Art and sculpture reached new complexity. The empire even documented astronomy and produced some of the world's earliest literature. Akkad was becoming a cosmopolitan center, pulling in ideas and wealth from every corner of the ancient world. And then came the empire's greatest ruler after Sargon, Naram-Sin, the God King. Sargon's grandson, Naram-Sin, inherited an empire at its peak. He crushed rebellions, expanded borders further than Sargon himself, and claimed the title King of the Four Corners of the World. His victory over the Lulubi tribes was immortalized in the famous victory stele, where Naram-Sin is carved ascending a mountain like a god. Under him, the empire reached maximum power, but the seeds of collapse had already been planted. After decades of glory, something strange began happening across Mesopotamia. Cities were abandoned, irrigation canals dried up, harvests failed for years, the great rivers shrank, This environmental collapse may have starved the empire from within. And in the middle of this crisis, the empire was struck by constant rebellions. The Gutians, a mountain people, raided Akkadian lands relentlessly. The empire fractured. Akkad itself vanished so completely that modern historians still don't know where the city truly stood. But the great question remains: what caused the collapse of the world's first empire? Historians have proposed several theories. 1. Climate disaster. Clay tablets reveal a period of severe drought. Rainfall declined for years. The great rivers shrank. This environmental collapse may have starved the empire from within. 2. Overexpansion. The empire grew so large that rebellions erupted constantly. Resources were stretched thin. The administration could not maintain control. 3. Gutian invasion. A confederation of tribes from the Zagros Mountains repeatedly attacked. They didn't build cities, only plundered. Some historians argue the Gutians delivered the final blow. 4. Internal strain. Power struggles, local rivalries, and weakening leadership destabilized the empire over generations. Most likely, it was all of these combined. A perfect storm. By around 2150 BCE, the Akkadian Empire, once the greatest power on earth, collapsed. Its cities diminished. Its language slowly gave way to Sumerian revival and later Babylonian dominance. Its emperors' titles were reclaimed by new dynasties. Akkad, the empire's shining capital, disappeared so completely that it became a legend. An empire that united the world vanished from it. But the legacy of the Akkadians lived on. The idea of a unified empire, the model of a central government, standing armies, provincial governors, imperial communication networks, all became blueprints for later civilizations. Assyria, Babylon, Persia, Rome, and even modern states. The Akkadians didn't just build an empire, they built the concept of empire. More than 4,000 years ago, a child set afloat on a river rose to build the first empire in human history. Its fall was sudden, mysterious, and total, but its influence shaped every great power that came after. The story of the Akkadian Empire isn't just a tale of rise and fall. It is the beginning of all imperial history, the first chapter of how humanity learned to rule, shape, and connect the world.